Okay, I have a big, huge box of survivor letters that you've sent in, and many of you sent it in with $1. That's awesome. Thank you so much. And so I'm just going to start reading from all these survivor stories that come in, and I will not use any of your names to protect you. And when they're particularly long, I'll cut them down to give the main points, okay? This letter comes from Kansas. I just read about you and your work at the Rosie O'Donnell website. We love Rosie. I wanted to send you my story. My abuse began 52 years ago. I say began because, as you know, sexually assaulting a 5-year-old can set a lifelong pattern of being a victim. Hello. Even with my education, my desire not to be a victim and living as long as I have, it's been a struggle to view myself as someone who matters. The abuser was my neighborhood playmate's grandfather, who also lived in the neighborhood. My mother had no idea allowing me to play with my friend at her grandfather's house put me in danger. How could she? Grandfather pedophile was also a seemingly nice gentleman whose son and daughter-in-law allowed their children to play at his house. And in the early 50s, no one ever talked about pedophilia, let alone suspected it in their own neighborhood among their children's parents and grandparents. Thank God the old fart never told me not to tell or threatened me if I did, because having the courage to tell my mother is my one saving grace from that horrific ordeal. Predictably, grandfather pedophile's daughter-in-law, my playmate's mother, convinced my mother that it was in my best interest not to bring charges against her father-in-law because it would mean I'd have to testify against him. Who would believe a 5-year-old making up such ridiculous accusations against this nice, well-respected pillar of the community? Heard that one before. Who would believe he would harm a child in such a deviant manner? In my mind, it meant that I was not worth defending. My mother never spoke about the abuse again. It was as if it never happened. To this day, I've had difficulty in my relationships, including my relationship with myself. Good point. Being humiliated, shamed, and dehumanized seared the soul. My heart goes out to you, dear lady. I wish we were kindred spirits due to something else. Well, we are, because we're changing and we're evolving and we're becoming self-empowered. Thank you, Kansas. There's a question for you. How do you not allow it to continue in your life? Not allow the abuse to recur and reoccur and reoccur.